welcome to First Pages. Hope you're having a great day. I have a Western romance to share with you today. It's called Dangerous Ties by Deborah Parmley. Pain erased all sense of time. Lillian didn't know how long she'd hung, her muscles exhausted from the strain, her mind full of warnings she was helpless to do anything about. Her throat was raw from screaming before Grady had gagged her. Now the cloth gag stuck to her dry tongue. She squinted through tired eyes at the pail of water sitting by the edge of the mineshaft. She could look right down into it, the water taunting her with how good it looked, how it would taste cool and refreshing as it slid over her tongue, down her throat. It would soothe her throat if she could just reach it. But there was no hope of that. They tied her up and left her to die of thirst. Lillian closed her eyes. No, don't look at it. Don't think of it. Think of something else. Pain shot from her broken right toe up her ankle and leg. The scent of burnt flesh still filled her nostrils. He'd seared the brand across the top of her breast. Memory lodged in her body where pain radiated along with heat, echoes of his laughter still ringing in her ears. A single tear slipped out and ran down her cheek. It hadn't mattered what he did to her or how relentless they were. She still couldn't tell them where the money was. She couldn't tell them because she didn't know. And no amount of torture could change that one fact. Lillian squeezed her eyes tight and prayed her lie had bought enough time to get away, though how she'd ever get out of this she didn't know. She had to get away before he returned, angrier than ever because she'd lied. Mr. Thomas Shelton, her former fiance, was probably well to California by now, and rich as the cream Lillian used to pour into her tea every afternoon. He'd done more than abandon her along with the promises he'd made to her. He'd left her to face the anger of everyone in town who he had robbed. Dear God, but she was thirsty. If she could only have a drop or two of water. Lillian kept her eyes closed so as not to look at the pail again. Mr. Shelton, the president of Shelton Security Bank and a widower, had finally asked for her hand in marriage after months of waiting. She thought she'd closed the dressmaker's shop. Fact was, she wasn't making much money. It hadn't been going well. The women living in town or in the outlying areas did their own sewing, and except for a few bridal gowns and mending the saloon woman's clothing, Lillian had made no other sales. Nevada was nothing like New York, where a woman needed a gown for an event or wanted one simply because it was the latest new fashion. She'd been foolish to follow her cousin out west, even if he was her only living relative. Carl was nothing like the boy she'd grown up with. Letters could be so deceiving, and she hadn't seen him since he was 10. Yet he'd written to her, urging her to come out west after her parents died. Convinced her it was better to be with family. Promised to help her set up a dressmaker shop now that she had to make a living. She'd always enjoyed sewing for herself and her ailing mother, and the dresses she always made brought compliments. She'd also been drawn in by the adventure of moving west, so she'd left the town she'd spent her entire life in. Carl had been nice enough at first, helping her set up shop, introducing the townsfolk to her. But after a few weeks, he spent all of his time playing cards and running up debts in the saloon and the mercantile, then expected her to pay for them. He seemed to have the idea that because he'd done this favor for her, she was indebted to him for life. It was a debt she could never repay. Carl thought she owed him, and he thought she had the money. Even her own cousin didn't believe her. The pain in Lillian's shoulders from the pressure of her own weight pulling her down pushed away her thoughts. Her arms being stretched for so long made her jerk and flinch, though she knew it was futile to fight, and she barely had any fight left. But she couldn't help pulling against the ropes, even though it only made things worse. Oh, what she'd give for someone to cut her down, and a fast horse. She'd learn to ride, as if her life depended on it. That's an intriguing start, isn't it? Wonder how Lillian's going to get out of that well. Maybe a cowboy hero will come and save her. Only way to find out is to click on the buy links in the description. If you like First Pages, please subscribe to the channel so that you can see when I post new videos. Again, that was Dangerous Ties by Deborah Parmley. I hope you have a great day. Thanks for your support of authors. And as always, happy reading.